Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the channel. Now, Clifton Powell is an actor and he got divorced, as many of them unfortunately do. Now, we are going to listen in as to why he says marriage is my biggest mistake and why he lost $10 million. Imagine that you work all those years and out of the money you've made, they take $10 million. What do I keep saying here? It's a scam. Listen in to what Clifton Powell has to say.
Man, you lost 10 million in your divorce, bro?
Uh, yeah, well, one of the things that I did a seminar yesterday, a group for one of my dear friends. Her name is Tressa, out of DC. She's a producer. So we were talking to the producing groups and the writers and trying to give them the ins and outs of the business. And one of the things that I try to do is when I do lectures, I have one slated hopefully to do at Norfolk State, and I want to take it around to the HBCUs, Evening with Clifton Powell. And what I want to talk about is all the things that nobody helped me understand when I started in the business. So one of the panelists asked me, "What's the biggest mistake I made?" I think the biggest mistake I made in the beginning was getting married. Not so much because marriage is bad, but trying to build my career inside of my marriage.
And this is the thing for a lot of men, they've missed the bus, so to speak, because a lot of what the value that we placed on the institution of marriage has been stripped away. So, but a lot of men have not caught up to that. Even if they hear it so many times, when they get caught up in that environment, they keep to forget that the value that was put in this institution was primarily to raise good children that will take over and continue to build upon what you have. It was the best environment for these children to be raised, to be educated, to be informed, to be taught skills, manners, and all these things. That's primarily why it's there. I know a lot of people want to romanticize it, but I stopped doing that because it doesn't make any sense. Because there's a lot people are losing in assuming it to be that other than what it was originally. So for him, he would, because say he was a Hollywood actor, wanted to be seen as a good husband or not, maybe because that's good for the for his career or something like that. So I don't know. I'm just speculating, but they build too much into it, other than everybody just assuming their roles and making sure that you have this company, because that's how I see it. This company build to become the best thing it can possibly be to help you thrive, survive, and thrive. If it can't do that, it's useless, in my opinion.
It's simply impossible. The divorce rate in Hollywood is almost 97% amongst entertainers.
Just think about that. And people keep doing it. It's almost assured that you'll be divorced. That's what they are saying. So basically, if you are getting married, it should be a business decision even more. That maybe it's a PR move, a public relations exercise where you want the family oriented to like you more or something like that. That's the only reason you would really do it. But you'd have all manner of prenups to make sure that you don't lose out $20 million, don't you think?
So, and not that I wouldn't have married my ex-wife or not have my kids. The best thing that came out of that were my kids. But um, I just,
You can have children without having to put yourself in such a precarious position. And I know a lot of people after the fact, you really can't say you hate your kids, you really can't say you regret having them because a lot of the times you haven't. But the hows, how you put yourself in this position, maybe even now because you got divorced and what your kids are a lot messed up. So even as much as you see them as a blessing, a lot of them came into the world with the person who doesn't have his faculties intact to protect them. Their father, who's making a lot of emotional decisions that led to the fact that they were born in this environment. So you're stuck both ways. So that's why from the beginning, the reasoning and the environment you create for that must be solid. You must be total control of of your, no, at least as much control as you can get of your future and how things turn out. And I believe the best way to do that is to make sure that you are, as a guy, you're solid. You're solid. You have everything you need. And I think that's the best environment. I know, like, poor people get married all the time and have numerous children. Fine. But it can't be optimum that way. And a lot of people like to throw this very serious issue. They just, you're having kids all over the place. I mean, you can't tell me that is a normal way to try and populate your communities, because you're raising vagabonds, honestly.
Being an entertainer, and I'll give you an example. In 1979, myself, Denzel Washington, Sam Jackson, Angela Bassett, we were all poor actors who were just entering into a very difficult business. And nobody ever told me and taught me anything about Hollywood or how to be an entertainer or be in the entertainment business. It's a little different when you're in New York and you don't necessarily make it to the big national level. But when you leave New York, like we all did, only left New York, not necessarily come out to Hollywood to be famous actors. We were in love with the work, but you don't make a lot of money. So when you come out to Hollywood, the next thing you know, you do rock. And then from rock, you do Menace to Society. And then from Menace, you do Dead Presidents. And then I went on a 35-year run, where I did Rush Hour, Next Friday, Phantoms, Deep Rising, and all the movies that people have Ray and all.
He's been everywhere. He did all that work. And $10 million of his wealth had to go to the parasite that he decided to marry.
All the movies that people have seen me in. And inside of that has its own, the trajectory in the arts has its own isolated energy. And it takes all of your time and all of your energy. You barely have enough time for your wife and your kids. And I didn't understand.
You see, this is the biggest fallacy. When you're working those long hours, making sure they live, there's no time like you're having time for your wife and kids. Your wife and kids should be grateful you're breaking your back so that they get to live nice. This has been turned around. Why do you need to do all that? On top of that, also come massage people's feelings in your house. They should be bowing before your feet for putting your life in danger every day to make sure they live nice. That's my position. And I think many of you, if you decided to assume that position, you realize that you wouldn't be taken advantage of as much as you are right now.
And so when I was married at the height of my career, making a lot of money, I was out of my house maybe 80% of the time. And no marriage can survive if you're not giving it attention. And then there's all the other temptations.
No, it can't survive because they're not in it. You've set off with the wrong from the wrong basis. The people think it's about romanticizing, everybody feeling good and being around. These are it's very weird descriptions of relationships that people just accept without a careful thought. What do you mean you're never around? I work 80% of the time so that you can live in Beverly Hills. What do you mean, why am I not around? Are you willing to go live in the ghetto so I can be around all day and we can scratch our booties together? Smoke some weed and chill? Is that what you want? People think there's no price to be paid for success. There is always a price, a heavy price to be paid. And for those who want to engage, they must always understand that, including your children.
On the road, the women, the gambling, the drinking, the partying, and before you know it, you're in divorce court. And that's really what happened. I survived it, because money is amazing. But if you're not happy, money is not good. So I don't blame my ex-wife. I don't blame anyone. I just, with my journey, trying to help young entertainers.
This is nonsense. You have to place blame where the blame is. And you see all this PR talk, this is a problem with these Hollywood actors. They're always so, apologetic, even when they have been taken to the cleaners. He still wants to play nice because, these people might watch my movies or this. I think you are better off getting a new audience than if you feel that you have to lie to your audience to stay relevant. I think that's my position also.
Understand, build your career first, and then focus on marriage and children and things like that.
That is actually true. That is the actual position that I hold. I wouldn't say you go get married, but you could contract someone to offer you the same services. That's how I see it. I know it feels cold. Oh, there is no romantic gestures. Romantic gestures are negotiations. That's what they are. Just look at them for what they are. Stop turning them into Hollywood fantasy films. So you end up overpaying for everything and getting little in return. It's a negotiation, getting a car here, or paying the bills, or doing this, or taking you for a trip. All those are negotiation tools for you to be in your best behavior when you're handling this family business, raising the children, or whatever it is that she's doing. That's all it really should be. It shouldn't be this utopian world you people have created that has never existed. You just want to feel nice about it. You want a high. The high doesn't last. Everybody knows the high doesn't last. Do you remember yourself before and after busting a nut?
And I had an outside life, and I'll tell, and again, I told the panel yesterday, I have a movie that I'm developing about relationships. And one of the things that I like to talk to women about and men is that men have a hormone, and of course, I didn't understand this before I got married. Men have a hormone inside of their brain called dopamine. It controls the pleasure center of your.
It's everyone, not just men.
It's in the pleasure center of your brain, and that's drugs, sex, gambling, smoking, partying, and rock and roll. And I
the instant gratification hormone, if I would call it that.
Did all of that. I didn't do drugs. That's the only thing. That's the only reason I'm sitting here right now. But I partied, I gambled, I had a lot of women, and I was never home. And it's very difficult because women have a hormone in their brain called oxytocin, which is the cuddle hormone. So intimacy is personal for women. It's emotional. It's not personal for men unless you fall in love with someone. And I didn't understand any of that. So one of the things that I want to do with my lecture or the evening with Clifton Powell is break all that down for young entertainers, because back in my day, nobody guides you through. There's no men.
Yeah, so this is, it was on the Art of Dialogue channel. So you could go, I'll put the link down below so you can finish watching that, and maybe I'll put up the full video, the full interview. Yeah, it did have some gems in it, but you have to understand also that a lot of these people kind of have to be nice about how they say things so they don't lose customers and fans and things like that. But we don't have to. We can say it the way it is. So Clifton Powell has some things to say. He lost $10 million to a woman. You see, also on his part, he went out there in Hollywood and being, you can't run around and sleep around. And you see, all these things just create a mess. And in my opinion, because if you're the kind of man that doesn't want to have discipline, you discipline, why can't you just be honest? Tell your wife, hey, me, I'm going to be sleeping around, but you're the main chick, and here is your restitution for dealing with that. That's what people do all the time. If you're rich and powerful, that's what you do. But what I really don't understand, because it's not really my style to sleep around with many people, because I do find it disgusting, actually, just picking anything on the streets these days. And it's not that I haven't done it. It's just it doesn't hold any excitement for me anymore. I think you get older and you start to think things through a bit more. You can say no a lot easier and things like that. That excitement, that testosterone excitement of the 20s and the teens, it weighs away as more sense starts to take over, because a lot of these things have a very high cost to them, in as much as they're just normal human interactions that are required for the continuation of the species. Anyway, I don't know what you think about what actor Clifton Powell said. Please leave a comment down below and a like for the algorithm. And of course, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, peace.